What's up, guys? This is going to be the simplest and the easiest breakdown of all the account plans for my funded futures. In this video, I'm going to be going over the pricing, the rules, payout structures, and the pros and cons for the firm, and exactly which accounts you should be using depending on your experience level. So first of all, there are three different account types: the core, the scale, and the pro. Starting off with the core accounts for the evaluation phase. For this account here, there's only a $50,000 account size option. It is also the cheapest option and the standard $3,000 profit target, $2,000 max loss, and has end of day drawdown. There's a 50% consistency rule, which means that the maximum that you can make in a day is $1,500 if you want to pass the account in 2 days, which is the fastest you can do it in. There's no activation on these accounts. You can also copy trade up to 5 of these accounts, and in my opinion, it's very tough to beat these accounts for the price and the value that you can get from them. Especially if you are a beginner, I would definitely suggest going with the core accounts. Moving on to the funded phase. In order to get a payout, you need at least 5 days of at least $100 in profit. Those days do not need to be consecutive. However, you just need 5 total days where you make over $100 in profit. Your maximum payout per account is $1,000, and like I said, you can copy trade up to 5 of these, and also news trading is allowed for this account type. Also, there's no consistency rule for the core account funded phase. Moving on to the next account type, which is the scale account. Basically the same rules as the core accounts in terms that there is a 50% consistency rule. There is no activation fee. You can copy trade up to 5 of these accounts as long as they are all 50Ks. So you cannot copy trade 5 100Ks or 150Ks. But what I do personally is I copy trade the 50Ks. That's just what I'm comfortable with, but you do you. And once again, end of day drawdown. The profit target and the max drawdown are listed below. For the 50K, it is once again the same 3K profit target and the 2K max drawdown. Moving on to the funded portion of these accounts. Once again, for each of them, you need at least 5 minimum winning days. The amount that you need to make per winning day depends on the account size, but they are all listed below. Your minimum payout for each is $250. And once again, news trading is allowed for these accounts, even on the funded phase. And once again, there's no consistency rule for the funded phase of the scale accounts. So the reason they are called scale accounts are because your max payout scales up as you go. So as you can see below, for the 50, 100, and 150K accounts, I mentioned before that the minimum payout is $250 for each. However, the max payout will go up as you get more payouts. So for the 50K, payout number 1, your maximum amount that you can withdraw per account is $1,500. Then it goes up to $1,750, $2,000, and so on and so forth for each of the accounts. I personally use 5 of the 50K scale accounts. In my opinion, what you get for the price for these is very hard to beat. There's no activation fee, and like I said, you can copy trade up to 5 of them for the 50Ks. So me personally, I'm very comfortable with the $50,000 account sizing, and in my opinion, you can get plenty of leverage even with the 50K. So that's what I go with personally. I think that these are the best value, but that is just my opinion. Now, I did not include a discount percentage on this video for my code because they are frequently having different promos out there. Sometimes they're 10% off, 15%, 25% off, whatever the case might be. But as always, code PK will get you the best possible deal on any accounts and any account sizes. So make sure to type that in at the checkout and you'll be taken care of automatically. Last but not least, for the pro accounts for the evaluation phase, these are by far the best for experienced traders. If you've already gotten a bunch of payouts and you know what you're doing, then I would go with these. They are a bit pricier, as you can see below. However, we'll get into a second why they are the best if you know what you're doing. So same as the others, they all have end of day drawdown and a 50% consistency rule for the eval phase, and the same exact profit target to max drawdown ratios as the scale accounts. However, once you get to the funded phase, once again, there's no consistency rule or scaling rule, so you can use the maximum sizing per trade as soon as you get onto the funded account. And you need 14 trading days in order to get a payout. So by far the best thing about the pro accounts is that you can withdraw a total of $100,000 per user before they move you to a live account. For the core and the scale accounts, you cannot withdraw anywhere near $100,000 for a maximum payout. However, like I said, if you know what you're doing, with the pro accounts, you can do that. And as you can see here, for the $50,000 account, you need at least $2,100 in buffer before you can take out a payout. The 100K, it is $3,100, and $4,600 for the 150K account for the buffer. Each payout needs to be a minimum of $1,000, and after your very first payout, your maximum loss limit moves to $100 above the starting amount, and then it does not change from there. So for example, if you are on a $50,000 account and you get your first payout, from that point on, as long as you keep your account balance above 50.1K, your account stays alive and you are good to go. So in summary, the core accounts are the best for beginners. They are by far the cheapest, the simplest, and fast payouts because you only need 5 trading days for them. Also no consistency rule, so that is great. Same thing for the scale accounts. They're best for intermediate/advanced. In my opinion, these are the best value for the money that you pay. You get more freedom and larger payouts, and once again, you only need 5 trading days with no consistency rule. And last but not least, for the pro accounts, they are by far the best if you are advanced and you know what you're doing. Like I said before, you have by far the biggest payout potential. However, obviously they are much pricier than the other 2 tiers, so make sure you know what you're doing before you commit to buying any of those accounts. Last up are the pros and cons of MFF. Starting off with the cons, currently there is no Project X option. However, they do have TradeAvate and TradingView available. I personally use TradeAvate, but I believe that these two will cover a majority of the traders out there. As I mentioned previously, you can only copy trade 5 of the 50K accounts. If you have any of the larger account sizes, you can only copy trade 3 of them. Personally, this doesn't make much of a difference for me because, like I said, I copy trade 5 50K accounts personally, but if you are into using the bigger account sizes, then that could be a potential negative. Next up are the pros. So objectively, MFF is one of the best rated firms out there. As far as I can remember, I have never heard of anyone bad-mouthing MFF. They've always been very clean. Their rules are straightforward, extremely competitive pricing, no activation fees, obviously. Their customer service is fantastic in their Discord as well as their chat support on their website. And now they have automatic payout approvals. But that pretty much wraps up this video on my funded futures and why they're one of the best prop firms out there at the moment. As always, if you want the best discount possible on any accounts and purchases, use code PK at the checkout and it will automatically save you the most amount of money on your purchases. So I hope that was helpful. Take care and I'll see you on the next one.